Dave? Is that a scary story?
Yes, very much so.
Great, I love scary stories.
Well, let's begin. Okay, I need a volunteer here.
My name is Scott Parker and I am the director as well as one of the creators of HalfWorld. HalfWorld is a story about a boy who gets sucked into a strange world where he encounters a whole bunch of creatures on a quest to find his brother. It has a whole bunch of crazy characters and puppets, and I guess the feature of the show is that there's a giant blanket fort that starts off on the ground. So when you walk in, you see this pile of blankets that takes up most of the space, and then all of a sudden, in a split second, it comes up off the ground over the audience and sucks everybody in. You get a blanket, everybody sits on couches and on the ground and very close to the action. We noticed that both kids and adults both enjoy it equally on different levels. There's a beautiful, heartwarming story. It's just a wonderful, immersive experience, and it really is for anybody.
For a designer, that's just the coolest thing ever because it's exciting and it's special. I think we've really risen to the challenge with the blanket fort. I think what we've come up with is something that is very durable and very tourable and a little bespoke for every venue that we show HalfWorld in.
Kids seem to exist in this half world between imagination and reality. I guess when we started talking, we started sharing that, and it was something that I realized that everybody had this collective experience of creating a fantasy world that interacted with the real world, this domestic fantasy.
I've always been struck by how much kids just get swept up in their imagination, and it's fantastic. When I'm with them, I just think, I want a bit of that. I want to be able to get swept up in that as well.
Key to the development process with HalfWorld was that we had a young person involved. We had an 11-year-old and then a 15-year-old who came on board with the development. One thing that was really important to us was that we didn't condescend to the children in our audience. In fact, what we wanted to do was bring everybody onto an equal playing field. I think because we never approached this as making a children's show meant that we had a much deeper theatre experience.
It's funny to our friends.
They were your friends. They're both dead.
I remember one night I was sitting up the back and it was so exciting to see adults and kids just on this journey together, to see kids just trying to crawl onto the stage because they just couldn't get close enough, and them yelling out, and it was just so special. It felt like everyone was just in it together.
We basically ended up telling a story about a boy trying to deal with the loss of a brother. That's what HalfWorld became, and we don't labour that point in the show, but it is very much at the core of it, and I think a lot of people at the end got the sense that maybe Mr. Boy's brother isn't actually coming back. And HalfWorld took on a different resonance, and we realized actually the repercussions of this world, which may or may not exist, are actually very, very tangible to this little boy, as they are to us. And so maybe we should connect with the magic of everyday life a little bit more.
$829th floor.
Where is she now? Mr. Swansea requires her to be as closely located with you as possible.
46th floor.
We need to get her on air ASAP. You can inform her that I'll be organising that radio spot. Where are you now? Yeah, okay, I'll be there shortly.
Dirty.
Ground floor.
God, so Swansea wouldn't know what to do with all this pop. Yeah, so true. But new God, oh my new God, he gives us an allowance so we can play without pedals and auto-tune our beatbox all day long. Here you go, ladies. Totally great. We have needs that must be met. And look at me, I'm top pop. Are you ready for this? How are my little bass drops to the city going tonight? I said, how are all my little bass drops to the city going? That's more like it. Thank you for coming out to the Doof and supporting the NGP, the New God Party. wrong! The answer is bear pit. Next!
Much dell'Arte About Nothing is set in Shakespeare's London, so Elizabethan England. It is a commedia retelling of the Shakespeare history/mythology. We tell a story of Philip Henslowe, who was a competitor and I guess you could say contemporary of Shakespeare's, trying to write plays, not succeeding and having Shakespeare steal them from him. We're loose with the history. We're very loose with the history. It takes all of the characters and all of the silly things we know about Shakespeare and the world he lived in and the plays he wrote. It even has bear pits and bears in it, and Queen Elizabeth makes an appearance. So it's very funny. It's like a cavalcade of Shakespearean references stuffed into 60 minutes.
I'll be king of the theatre. I'll be king of England. I'll be a better king than the Queen ever was. And then,
During a performance, we jump in and we engage directly with audience members. No one is safe. So you're sitting there and, oh God, you've got to react and engage with the performance on stage. It's just really fun. And despite it being such an old form, it's very engaging. Commedia is an Italian form of physical theatre with masks and slapstick comedy. As a performer, it's great to do because, I don't need a gym membership, I just do this. It also relies on the universal stock characters that any audience member can sort of see and recognise. There's lots of improvisation, lots of fart jokes.
For a moment there, I really thought you were going to shove the coin right up my...
It can sometimes seem like we're looking at a form that has been buried and it's gone, it's been like that for 200 years. But the form, as we've seen in all the audiences that we've performed this for, it's an incredibly vibrant, physical, exciting form, and audiences really respond to it.
Your Majesty. Yes. Number 3. The Royal Canal.
Commedia is such a precise form of physical theatre. It really relies a lot upon improvisation, which is a great form in any dramatic context. For me as a performer, it's provided me with a really strong base to move from. In my time working with Matriark, a lot of the way that we create characters for our shows, it comes from this sort of tradition of commedia with the really rich idea of these characters that are really quite physically articulate and very expressive and over the top.
You on me.
While the shows that we do with Matriark, they're not commedia shows that the general public usually comes to, you can really see the link to the form itself, and it really informs how we work. We devise a lot of work, and very often we go back to the way of working with commedia, where we go, okay, we've got these characters, this needs to happen, go, improvise. And that's how we generate material for our plays. So not only just the characters itself, but the way of working with commedia really has informed our practice and what we create.
It is a tale told by an idiot.
It's a fun, vibrant form, and audiences love it.
Ta-da!